Pat Premick from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who's actually in Pennsylvania at the moment. Really have wrapped up ministry wise in Taiwan and really had a delightful send off reception from my church, which of course was very special because I didn't get any of that in my emergency exit out of China. And so, as a result of that, a friend of mine was able to put together and fill out this wonderful journal of all the notes that people sent me on all the cards and stuff. And so I have a real nice memory book to share with people when I'm visiting the churches. So that's very special for me. And so really have ended ministry because I'm here until early December and I'm in Taiwan for 3 weeks. And then I head to a conference with Mesa Global in early January. And then after the conference, I'll fly up to Chiang Mai and start to look for housing, hopefully open the bank account, potentially also start language study because I am entering in on an education visa. And so I'm sure I only have a window to actually get that started. And so once I kind of get those things rolling, then I'll fly back to Taiwan and try and sell everything, get the movers there, and get myself moved over to Taiwan. So kind of targeting potentially to be fully out of Taiwan by end of February. So hopefully that February, early March or something like that. And so given all of the transition that I'm in and how many places I'm going to be staying, it was only, here's Mia who's aging. And through that, I'm like, I can't put her through that because that's just going to even be rough. So I'm kind of surprised at this situation because literally she was almost 3 weeks to get to me. And so I looked at this and say, well, this is a whole lot easier than what I put you through to get you to Taiwan. So I'm a little bit obviously saddened that it's been so hard. So hopefully we can turn things around for her. But yeah, so I'm actually heading out on Monday, flying to Colorado. As missionaries and as pastors, we have the opportunity to get cheap lodging. And so I'm in a cabin in Colorado. So it's a week with God. And then going on this Alaska land and sea cruise, actually with member care couple from my other agency, the Evangelical Presbyterian Church. And so going with them, so that would be really special. Because when I've had to go for debrief programs, because that was a requirement to do some of those, with the EPC, I would always stay with them in Colorado. And so I was just contacting them. They're like, well, hey, you can stay at our house because we won't be there, but maybe you want to come on a trip with us. And quite frankly, being single, I always travel by myself. I don't get invitations to go on vacations with people. And so that's really special for me. And so that will kind of be my really enjoyable time before I hit full steam ahead with all of the ministry stuff that's coming. And I mean, already this year, I've had 3 people retire. And so they've dropped me. And so I've kind of had to even increase the amount of money that I'm going to be looking for. So up to like an additional $1,800 a month, and then like 5,000 in one time to handle moving and things like that. So yeah, so that's kind of been a little disconcerting because one person told me that they were retiring and they would be dropping me a couple months ahead, but the other people didn't. So
Surprise, right?
yeah,
Ouch.
so I'm like,
Ouch. Yeah.
what happened to this? Oh yeah, I guess I should have told you.
Oh,
So yeah, but I've been doing this for 15 years and God has always met my needs.
yeah.
So
Doesn't make it easy
I'm
though.
yeah, yeah. And so I'm grateful because I've actually had 2 EPC churches pick me up that I actually never been to. So
How did
one
that
group
work?
I Well, one group I had met with their mission committee when they were at a conference, maybe at Slippery Rock. And so I met with them years ago, and they might give me a gift, but then they fully picked me up. Another church I've never been at, but I do speak at presbytery meetings. And
Yeah,
so they've
smart.
had some connection to me there. And so, wow, that's huge.
That
So
wasn't
I
Chris
will.
White in Slippery Rock, was it? Gateway Church? Yeah,
They were at
sorry.
some
Yeah,
conference. Yeah, they were
yeah,
at
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah, yeah.
conference, and I was just meeting them at a coffee house or something.
Cool.
So I was not attending anything. So I will be speaking at Presbytery of the East and Presbytery of the Alleghenies, both in September. So yeah, so hoping for potentially more churches, some individuals to help come up because again, our CFO, sent letters out to our donors and like pretty much everybody's down 25% just off the top. Um, so it would be really lovely. Like, I don't remember the last, it might have been a decade since I even had a raise. I'm like, I'd really like to add a little more to my retirement fund.
Yeah, come
So
on.
I don't know. God will
Yeah,
help me
every
through
year
all of that.
it's like, Lord, please allow us to keep our budget, right? Let them not cut us. And we're wanting raises, but we're praying for not to get cut, right? And you're probably the kind of
Yeah.
same thing, right? I need more, but Lord, please
Yeah.
don't take away what we have. Yeah, yeah. God's
Yeah.
been faithful. Yeah, but cattle on Thousand Hills,
Yeah.
a
He
few
just
more
has to sell
cattle
one.
being sold. Yeah,
God-sized
exactly.
cattle, baby.
That's been the prayer in a lot of cases. Lord, just one more cattle, please.
I
Yeah.
know. So,
Where's the beef? Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's okay. So,
So
I mean,
when will you be
overall, it
doing the
was,
rounds? When will you start doing the rounds for all the churches here in the US?
I actually start my first ministry activity just a couple days after I get back from Colorado and Alaska. I'm doing a women's ministry thing at North Park. My first church is out in Orland and Philly on August 25th.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so the first church starts on the 25th.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're hitting the ground. I imagine you're running. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably, because I think I'm going to be at two churches maybe on September 1st, September 8th, and then because I had those open. And then I think my next opening is the last weekend in October. So I have
And you're
some of
here the month of
October and
October,
November.
right? Yeah. You're are you still staying here the month of October?
Oh, here, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah, yeah,
lodging.
yeah. At
Yes,
NPC. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Sorry.
yeah, yeah.
All these details, right? Like you remember them all.
I know. I have my
I love your
schedule of like,
haircut.
where am I on this diet? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a couple of weeks old too.
Really? Wow. It looks cool.
Yeah, and I
It
said a
fits your
little bit
face.
shorter to short, and it's like, yeah, it's so funny. I think he was trying to give me a cut as after we were talking. I'm like, oh, I think you kind of misunderstood what I was saying, but he would then was trying to cut it so I wouldn't have to go get it cut for at least 2 months. So, like, well, you've saved me a little money from not having to need it cut in America quite as early as I thought. So, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So are you in good spirits
Uh,
as much as possible after all these transitions and all this?
in all honesty, the flight over, it was a direct flight. It actually worked really well. I did not appreciate the pilot while I was standing at the carousel waiting for my cat to be delivered when he says, "So, I hope your cat has 9 lives." I'm like, "Why do you say that?" He's like, "Well, because the cargo hold was really hot." "How old's your cat?" 15. "Well, I hope she's okay." And I'm looking at the facial expressions of the people that are communicating, and they're like, oh, I mean, and so I didn't get any sense that there was any situation at all. It wasn't like, oh, it was like, oh, where is she? Okay, I'll come get her. And, so I wasn't thinking that there was any issue, but I'm like, dude, what the heck? So I was known as the cat lady because apparently I was the only live cargo on the plane. Um, but yeah,
Too bad you couldn't have ridden with her
well,
on seat,
and
you know.
I mean the size of the cage is actually really
Okay,
large.
all right,
You
okay.
know, for her to be able to, I mean, it was probably the length of her twice, and they have to be able to stand up fully. You know,
Okay.
so that's not fitting underneath a seat. You know,
Do
and
they
I mean, she
actually
actually does
provide the
like
cage for the
no,
flight?
no, no. That was a
Okay,
part of.
yeah,
I
yeah,
used a cat shipper, and so he bought the
all right,
cage and all of that. Got all of her paperwork, registered and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm only one human being, I can only handle so much.
right.
And so landing, direct flight to JFK, we had a very good rest at the hotel. It was great, and she was doing okay there and drinking water. But again, wasn't eating a whole lot. And then just 2.5, 3 hours to my brother's house. So that was not a bad drive for her. So just got to get her eating.